I heard a saying lately, which is from a manager to an employee, which is manage me or I'll manage you. And I find myself managing people a little bit differently and probably micromanaging a little bit more than I did when we were in person. When we're working remotely, you have so much less information. And as a leader, we have responsibility. We have to produce results and we have accountability for those results. So our natural tendency is when we don't have information to go get it. And I found myself initially overcompensating. I'm going to fill that information void with trying to gather reports, trying to understand, time off, who's logged in, who's not logged in. Because even though it could be the fact that the people outside the office are working more than the people in. I mean, I've looked at statistics at my company and I've seen a lot of other labor statistics over the course of the pandemic that suggest we're all working more hours, I know I am, remotely than in the office. But then you have to ask yourself, but why is it that I would ever have this perception going forward that my remote workers would be working less, when in fact the data suggests they're working more? And then why would I then presume that I need to micromanage those people when the data right in front of me suggests, hey, this is how they're performing? So I had to really think through my style and then not swing too far back and then say, okay, what's the right approach here going forward? And of course, the cloud hanging over all of this is, what is work going forward? Is it, if we all went back to the office, we could just revert back. And I could say, well, I don't really need to adjust my style. We're all going back. And when we all go back, I'll just go back to doing what I was doing. I know that's not the case. Unfortunately, I also don't know what the future is. So I can't say, here's what I want to adapt my style to. So in the future, we're going to work differently. So here's my approach. Instead, I find myself in this very fluid space of, geez, I'm not sure if I'm going to have 5 people outside the water cooler going forward, or if I'm going to have a water cooler. As we go forward as leaders and establish a new working sort of regime for our company, we're then going to be judged. How many of us are going to go back and say, how productive were we in person? How productive were we remote? And then how productive were we hybrid? And I think we'll find a correlation to high productivity and low micromanagement. And even though there'll be a period of adjustment, I know I'll look at all 3 tranches of that work environment and try to figure out what was best. And we're all going to try to justify and understand the decisions we make with our remote workforce and sort of any hybrid approach we take. So I know specifically I'll be looking for combining the best of both worlds, trying not to micromanage going forward. And of course, it'll still be a learning experience, right? Trying to learn from our lessons. And I think we'll all need to continue to reflect. I think we got forced into reflection by the pandemic and remote work. That's something we should maintain. I know I will carry forward continuing to check in with people. I will carry forward continuing to evaluate my own performance. I know going forward, I'll continue to evaluate our overall cohesiveness as a team, looking even more closely at things like turnover, job satisfaction, things like that. So micromanagement's always bad. I think that nobody likes it and all managers claim that they don't. I think that some of us should think really hard about how much we did or didn't micromanage during the course of the pandemic and remote work. And then how do we carry forward a culture where we keep in touch with people no matter where they are. We continue to build connection with them, but we try to avoid micromanagement so that people continue to feel as empowered as they did before they were working remotely, and so how we can all be successful going forward.